was thinking about the better days. My youth so happy, my hair so nappy, had an afro.
Yo, what is going on, people? Welcome to 101 on Arsenal. Welcome to Nightcap. You're here with me, Apollo, and we're going to talk about some real good stuff tonight. In fact, I'm going to spend most of the evening just laughing my head off. Hold on a second, guys. I'm nearly ready for you. Forgot to put this on. There you go. All right. Isn't it wonderful when you spend all that money on a setup? So, guys, I want to talk about the Bournemouth-Arsenal game. So, isn't it funny? I made a statement to everybody in the fan base regarding how when other teams are not playing well and going through bad patches, they drop points. And we know we had a bit of a shake away from home. It was, the Aston Villa game, the Sunderland game, Chelsea away. We had some really, really tough games and only came out with those 3 games with 2 points. And remember, we had a lead on Man City before that. So everyone was talking about Man City's clawing the lead back. And you guys have got 10 nightcaps of proof in history that I said to all of you guys, Man United just are too predictable in what they're doing. And Amaran's going to get sacked and he's gone. And I said Manchester City are going to pick up injuries. And I said they're too dependent on Haaland. So we'll talk about Man City in a minute. Let's just finish here. Big up to you, 18. Big up to you, Randall. Big up to you, Andrew. And big up to you, Cam. All of your figures and your quotes are in there in the section. So we'll come to you when and if. But what makes me laugh, guys, is when the gap was 2 points, everybody was saying, nah, you lot are done, man. They say, you lot are done. City's coming for you. It's over. And look what's happened. We had a bad patch. Everton, Brighton, Wolves were games we never played very well. We created a lot of chances. But in terms of finishing, it just wasn't there. And yet we scored 3 points out of those 3 games. So it's like, 3 points each, so 9 points total. So even when Arsenal are not playing well, they're getting maximum points. Maximum points, guys. When the other teams aren't playing well, they're getting found out. And I think for Brighton, not so much Brighton, but the Bournemouth game, because that one, we tripped ourselves up. In all the other games, we didn't play well. It was quite balanced. But this game, Gabriel made the mistake. I don't know. I've looked at that back pass, guys, about 10 times, and I don't know who he was passing the ball to. I have no idea who Gabriel was. I'm thinking, did he try and go centrally? Zubimendi was midfield, so there's no way that ball would have been played. Saliba was near the touchline on the other side. So there's no way he was trying to hit the ball over to Saliba. And it certainly wasn't to Raya, because Raya was on his 6-yard line, just pushed up about maybe 10 yards. So there's no way on earth he was looking for anybody with that ball. I think he was in 2 minds. You know when you're in 2 minds to either clear it or to pass it, and then you do the in-between, which is kind of what we saw. So the bottom line is we got ourselves into a hole. And at that point, you're thinking, we're up against it now, because remember, we didn't do well against Bournemouth. We lost there 2-0, and then they came and won at the Emirates. So this was a team we didn't take any points from. And you just thought, it's going to be tough. And then Gabriel makes up for his mistake. And when you actually look at it, in the set play that we had, and it wasn't set pieces, it was just a set play where the ball was coming on, and Gabriel was very advanced. It was almost like he wanted to make amends for that mistake. And what a finish on his left foot. Just drove it into the low left corner of the net. It was a really good finish, a finish that a striker would be proud of. And so from there on, guys, you always felt that Arsenal were coming. And there was 3 guys that really, really stood out in that game. Obviously, Gabriel was one of them. I'm going to do player ratings now. In fact, let me put the player ratings up while I chat to you lot. Let me put them up here. Right, I'll put the player ratings up here so that you can see my ratings. Evening, Tony. What's going on? Big up to you, bro. I hope everything is well. I think Gabriel, the fact that he made amends, and it was embarrassing what he did. Did you see his face? The way he was holding his hands, he was like, "What have I done?" But I think he responded well to that setback in terms of scoring, and he did really, really well to head the cross away from Arden Truffett in the first half, who was also going to score. So his willingness to take charge, own his mistakes, and reorganize himself, I think we got to give him credit for that. So as you can see there, I've actually given him a 7. Yeah. But one of the other standout players on that game was Martin Odegaard. And boy, guys, a lot of you have been criticizing this guy. I mean, I can say with hand on heart, he wasn't at his best and he was out for a hell of a long time. But all of you guys that were dogging Martin Odegaard out, you have to come forward and own up. You got to own up to it, guys. You got to say he was a little bit rusty. He had a lot of time out. He was injured. He was recovering from that knee injury. Then he was recovering from the ankle injury. But his intent, guys, was always positive. Where this wasn't working out, he was picking the wrong pass. And the willingness to do what he was doing was always there. This wasn't somebody who was hiding in a cage and just tried to go by the numbers. He was trying, and it just wasn't coming off. But he's found his game back, guys. He's found his range. He's found his shooting boots. And he's just powering up Arsenal. A positive, well-played Martin Odegaard makes the team immense because it helps you on the front press and it helps you on the back end as well. And now we're seeing his influence on and off the ball, and it cannot be questioned how much he means to this team right now. And then the last person, guys, who I can say was fantastic was Declan Rice. Now, apparently he came out and said the game that he missed, he was gutted. He was saying he could have played, but it weren't about that. For the manager, we were talking about the rest players should have. Zubimendi, Timber, and Declan Rice are probably the 3 guys who we can all agree just haven't rested enough. So the fact that he got that knock, Arteta just went, you know what? This is a great time for me to sit your backside down. And Declan wasn't happy. He came out and he said it in the after-game interview. He said, I could have played and I wasn't happy. But you know what? Manager's got to do what a manager's got to do. But changed his name to Jollof. But guys, he won 4 duels in that game. And he was the engine that just inspired for us to just dominate the midfield. He had 8 key possession recoveries for Arsenal and 3 clearances. And he was just everybody and doing so much damage to Bournemouth in the middle of the park. Their manager, I don't know whether you guys listen to the opponent's managers conference after the game. And by the way, you can go to haters. They have all that stuff. Every manager for the last 3 games has been saying Arsenal are the best team in the league and Arteta is a brilliant coach and he organizes these guys. They know what they're doing. Sometimes we forget a little bit. It's nice when someone who's not an Arsenal fan says it because it means a little bit more to us. But Rice is just not one to kind of go away from his responsibilities. And he was desperate to come back and just commit to this game, especially when we were 1-0 down. And those are the real standout guys for me, guys. But I as you can see on there, I've given Raya a 6. He couldn't do anything about the strike and the back pass. He really couldn't. And then the wonder goal, that guy, the strike from Krupi, he could hit that ball 100 times and it ain't going to go in like that. It's just the way how it is. It was a wonderful strike. It was a beautiful, brilliant goal. And you full credit to him for that. And I don't think Ray can do anything about that there. But yeah, I'm going to give him a 6. It wasn't his best day, although he did make a fantastic save later on in the game. And for Timber, I'm going to give Timber an 8. How many times has this guy got an 8? I think he's got more 8s than any player on the team right now. He's probably, I would say, in the running for player of the season so far, behind Declan Rice. I think it's probably Rice, Timber, and Raya in that order for the top three in the first half of the season for me. But the brilliant goal line tackle where he stopped, who was it David Brooks at the back post? Brilliant. Again, that's another goal that we've stopped in a game that could have easily ended up 3-3. William Saliba, steady. He couldn't do nothing about the goal, obviously. You could see how hard he was running back to block the shot that went in when his teammate Gabriel gave away the mistake. You could see him just like the man was running like his house was on fire, but he couldn't get there. And if he would have, he'd have done so. But unfortunately, there's nothing he could have done about that. Hincapié, guys, Hincapié, I would have to give him a 6 because Semenyo gave him a taste. He did. He beat him on occasions, and there was nothing Hincapié could have really done about it. He gave his own as well. He gave a bit, but Semenyo was just giving him hell. I just wonder what Calafiori would have done in that situation, because Calafiori, I don't see no one get the better of him like that. So, respect to Hincapié. He's done a job since he's come in. He has done, guys. And he'll probably get into 80% of the teams in this league. But, a lot of people down talking the effect Calafiori has on his team. Have you noticed, guys, when people do their Premier League 11, Calafiori is nowhere to be seen. Man's trying to push in Reece James ahead of Timber and all of that, and, it don't really work. But a lot of people just are not putting Calafiori in there, and I think that's disrespect. Martin Zubimendi, guys, I'm going to give him a 7. Look, and I'm going to spend a bit of time to talk about him. I spoke to Tony and Gary about Martin Zubimendi last week, and I said, look, is he better than Thomas Partey? At this stage, I would say no. But it's a different type of player. It's a player that values possession, really knows how to look after the ball, really knows how to back up players in that combination play, and just very heady and intelligent. Can really read the game well. And that's why he's getting where he is in the Arsenal team. I would say I'm surprised with his aerial duels. He really is. He's not the biggest guy, but he's getting up there and he's battling. And that's something which you've got to give him credit for, because tackles is something where he's not as effective as Thomas Partey. He just isn't. He's not a ball winner. He just isn't. Yeah? And so, and I accepted that after the first 4 or 5 games when I looked at him and said, okay, it's a different kind of midfield that we've got here, but you cannot play him in a single pivot. You just can't. There's a reason why they tried it in the first 3 games of this season, and Arteta went, nah, I'm pulling Declan Rice back into a double pivot so he can help this guy out. And it's worked. Defensively, we've been more solid. But isn't it a shame, guys? Because in the back of our heads, we think to ourselves, Partey was doing the job of 2 men. He's not here anymore and he was getting old. I get it. It needed to be changed. No disappointment from me or disagreement. I get it. But at the end of the day, it makes you respect how good Thomas Partey really was. It really does. He gave us another level. And unfortunately, there isn't players like that in any of the top teams. Even Man City plays with a double 2 in the middle. So that's just how we were fortunate to have him for as long as we did. But right now, as it is, we play in a double, and that's just the way we're going to have to go from here. But I think he's a heady player. I think he's a steady player, Zubimendi, and he fits this system really well. And he's no frills as well. I like the way how he tries to get forward. I don't see him from him a lot. He's been on the scoring sheet, 3 or 4 times, because he's got forward and committed. And so I think he needs to do more of that. I think he needs to take charge. There's only so much of, he's new in the Premier League and trying to figure it out. There's only so much of that you can say about all these new players. At some point, you have to just say, bun that and just run with it. Yeah. And I think he hasn't done that. I think there's more to come from him. And that's all about his commitment to add to the final third. Yeah. Because regardless of what he does, there's always going to be somebody hanging back there to cover. And also, David Raya plays very advanced in terms of any team trying to hit the long ball over us. He's got that picked up. So I don't think it's as much as a gamble as we think it is. Declan Rice, guys, I'm going to give him a 9. Just elite. Just elite. Just an elite performance. The 2 goals don't even go into the man of the match. He was going to get man of the match anyway. Yeah. Let me read some of your comments here. Will there be any managers left apart from Arteta? That's funny. And Randall's saying, for once I can tune in. I don't know why you don't tune in all the time, bro. And swap your thoughts and ideas with me as well. Andrew also says, Arsenal have a good record against Liverpool and Man United at Emirates. Yeah, I know. I mean, that's going to be the thing. Like, I wonder how Liverpool are going to come in, because they don't really come in a low block. They more so come in a mid block because they want to score. They're an offensive team. They like going forward. They're not great at the back. So I think the onus for them as well is going to be, look, we're going to come forward and take the game to Arsenal, because every time we do that, we get a couple of goals at the Emirates. We lose. We don't really win there, but we do get lucky and score goals. What does that mean for us? That means that there's going to be a ton of space for us to play behind. All of, Trossard, Saka, Gyökeres. For once, Gyökeres is going to have some space to work with. So it's going to make the game very interesting. It'll probably be high scoring, I'll tell you that. But I think it probably may be 3-1 Arsenal, 4-2 Arsenal, something like that. That's what I'm looking for. Saliba is cool like summer breeze. Isn't it wonderful, Andrew, that this guy has been so steady? Everyone's talking about Gabriel's the best defender in the league, but then Gabriel made the mistake at Sunderland. Gabriel made the mistake against Newcastle, where he let Voldemort get in front of him. He gave this goal away here, but listen, don't get me wrong. Gabriel is the man. I think he's been the best centre back this season, but Saliba's not too far behind. He's not that far behind. If Saliba added goals to his game, there wouldn't be nothing in it, bro. Because when you see the last-ditch tackles that Saliba makes when a striker breaks through, that's like, you can't even measure that. And he's doing that every game. So, big up Saliba. Let's not forget about Saliba, guys. Yeah, let's not forget about Saliba. And then Andrew says, difference between Partey and Zubimendi is their bad or indifferent performances. I cannot see Zubimendi getting a booking like that. Actually, that's really true as well. And again, maybe it's the tackling thing, because he doesn't do that very well. But he doesn't get booked quite a lot. And then he doesn't get injured. He's much more durable. And how much is that worth to us, Andrew? The fact that we can plug somebody in there and they don't get injured. So, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it. Guys, Martin Odegaard, I talked about him previously before. The pass which spotted an overlapping Saka for the third goal was brilliant. And then the other pass into Zubimendi. Did you see how he waited for the left side to bend, the right side to hoard Gyökeres? He waited for all of that to happen before he spotted the run. To have the defender come and commit to him first, then he played the ball right beside him. I mean, that's just gold. It's just another impressive performance from the skipper. All them people saying he shouldn't be captain, I just bun that, man. Odegaard, I'm going to give him an 8. Madueke, I thought he dropped off a little bit in the first half. He was completely dominating them. And he hasn't played a lot of football. For him to come in off the go and just ball out the way he did, I love it. For me, I used to say him and Eza were the top 2 guys in dribbles. Nah, I think he's the best in the team. I think in one-on-one situations, going past players, there's no one on the team better than Madueke. There, I said it. There's no one better than him at going past players. He scares. And that's why I was saying when we bought him in the summer, he's a brilliant buy. A lot of our fan base is like, he's a waste of money. I said, no. I said, this guy's the only guy on Chelsea that I fear. And when I look at Chelsea now, I don't fear anybody. I don't fear anybody in the way that I feared them when this guy, Madueke, was playing for them. I said, what? I said, the way this guy takes the ball and just beat up a wing back. Nah, man. Nah. And he's consistent with it. And I like the way when he gets the ball, he's not looking like as soon as Saka gets the ball and sees some defense, unless Saka has combination plays with Timber and Odegaard, more likely 90% of the time Saka's recycling the ball back into the midfield. This guy, he looks up the defender, sizes him up, and he has no wish to play the ball in a recycle manner. He's going for it. He's going to get to the byline, and if you're Gyökeres, you know that you need to make that run in the middle because Madueke is going to put the ball in there. It's that kind of communication and playing together that I really want him to build on. And I've said it before. Can you imagine Madueke on the left and Saka on the right? Like, when are we going to see that? That's scary, man. That's really scary. And then maybe drop Trossard to the 8th. Anyway, that's on you, Arteta, to think about. Gyökeres, guys, I'm going to... So Madueke, I gave him a 7. Gyökeres, guys, I gave him a 6. Probably should give him a 6.5. He didn't look threatening in the first half. He didn't. But as the game got on, he looked more physical, just bulldozing defenses and really sucking centre-backs in, just opening up that space for everybody else. Tony, shout out to you. Tony said, Madley has exposed the defensive frailties of Semenyo. Yeah. You know what? I haven't heard any updates on the Man City bid for him. That's gone a bit quiet. And they just lost Gardevold today, Manchester City. I think it's an ankle injury, and he's going to have an operation. But yeah, Man City are feeling it, man. They're down to the bare bones now. Not that they had much of a squad to begin with, but they're really thinning out Manchester City. And Arteta, I'm going to give him a 9. Because look, guys, Arteta set this team up to score 3 goals away at Bournemouth. The mistake that Gabriel made, that's not on Arteta. And the wonder goal, you have to put that down to a great strike. So you look at the manager and you look at what he can do in terms of setting the team up, the tactics, all of that is on Arteta. He's gone away and he's just bullied them. And you know what, guys? It was not an easy game. Yeah? That's my player ratings. Let me take it off. It was not an easy game. And so what I mean by that, let me just pull this up, yeah? Let's pull this up now. If you look at Bournemouth's XG was 1.34. Arsenal was 1.17. So Bournemouth actually ended up with a better XG than Arsenal. And to back that up, because XG can tell you a lot of things, and some people are like, yeah, it's just a stat. It actually isn't a stat. It's a true reflection of the game. Because when you look at the field tilt, you can see, guys, here, we didn't really have all of the game. If you look in the first half, so the first section, they had more of the ball and more chances than we had. It wasn't until the second half, you can see we flipped it in the second half. So by all that accounts, it was a very even game. It was a very even game. So this isn't a thing where, yeah, Bournemouth are easy. Bournemouth, you can roll over them. They haven't had results going their way lately. A lot of that is down to injury. But they're a good team. They were a very good team last season. But all they're doing is selling all their stars, guys. That's all they're doing. They're selling all their stars. The stars. The centre back to Real Madrid, Solanke to Spurs. And there's like all the firepower on that team has just been gutted out. And then you have to ask yourself, a little bit like West Ham, really. You have to ask yourself, at what point, you know, they sold Kudos, Declan Rice left, and they've just been battered with all these quality players that are just not there anymore. And at some point, guys, these teams have got to ask themselves, well, look, if we get relegated, that's on us. Because you're selling all these very good players and you're not replacing them. And I think that with Bournemouth, if they're not careful, in the next couple of seasons, they're going to find themselves where Wolves are. Because Wolves are in that position for exactly the same reason. Because all that talent is gone. Talent's not there. Jimenez, the captain Cody, all them players, they're just gone. So what does this mean, guys? This means that Arsenal have a 6-point. So let's take this time out, guys, to just laugh at Man City. So the Bournemouth game done. We finished done talking about that. Let's take this chance to laugh at Manchester City. All that man there. City's coming for you. City's breathing down your neck. 2 points behind you. What? I love it. Guys, I love it. When I went into work today, I had such a big smile on my face. I was like, yeah, Manchester City is running like a headless chicken. And their squad are falling to pieces. They got a thin squad. And I said the two reasons, guys. Their squad ain't big. They don't have a quality squad. Remember when they had 2 men for every position, kind of like what Arsenal's got now. Yeah, they ain't got that anymore. they have not got any more. Sorry, I can't stop laughing about Manchester City because I'm just looking at all that man that was trying to do us, saying, yeah, you guys, they're coming for you. I said, guys, the gap's going to get larger. It is, because Haaland has scored 72% of their goals. Their goals are not coming from anywhere else. They're solely dependent on Haaland. When you look at the last 3 games, I mean, he ain't scored in the last 2, Haaland. 2 games he ain't scored in. And how many goals have they scored? how many goals have they scored? Whereas with Arsenal, the last 3 games, Gabriel, Trossard, you've had Jesus who've scored. You had Declan Rice who've scored. Zumba Mendy scored. Jesus has scored. You've had goals from everywhere. So we're just, and that's kind of the way how Arteta built this thing at the beginning. Remember when we went and scored, 89 goals or 91 goals or something like that, which actually is the Arsenal scoring record? That's the house that Arteta built. He built this thing so that there's goals everywhere. So teams can't really, teams are hoarding Gyökeres because Gyökeres is a bull in a china shop. He's going to beat up your back line. But hoarding him only just opens up things elsewhere. It does. You're playing into our hands now by hoarding Gyökeres because everyone else is now free to score. So if everybody's goals goes up and Gyökeres' goals are minimal, I don't even care about that. If Gyökeres has a game as a season where he scored 15 or slightly less, that's not even bothering me. Because he's given you so much in terms of a team effort. You know, when that man used to talk about valuing Giroud and valuing, that Heskey, Emil Heskey type player, yeah? Because the man was just doing a lot, holding up the play, bringing everybody in, being a pest. That's kind of where this team is now with Gyökeres. And look, Gyökeres is the only guy who can answer for all the goals that are missing. Because he is missing chances. Let's be fair, guys. I've seen him miss about 4 or 5 headers from close range, which I think he should be putting them away. So in Gyökeres' mind, I scored 97 goals in 102 games. Where are my goals? That's for you to deal with, Gyökeres. Yeah? Because the manager's always said that's on you. That's your problem, bro. If the one time I decide to bench you, you're going to know why I'm benching you. But at the moment now, I see you as an asset. That's what Arteta is saying. Arteta is saying to Gyökeres, I see you as an asset in our first team for what you're doing. And offensively, I talked about him setting up other people. Defensively, it is clear and apparent when Jesus comes on that Jesus cannot initiate the press like Gyökeres does. He just can't. And the ball's coming back to us with abandon when Jesus is in there. We look so susceptible to letting in goals because of the amount of pressure we're allowing ourselves against, because Jesus is just, and maybe it's because he's not fit enough to initiate that press. Remember, guys, pressing is a very difficult thing to do, and you have to have the octane energy to do it. And I don't think, because Jesus has come back from a year's injury off, and he's only getting 15, 20 minutes a game, he doesn't have the fitness levels to initiate the press in the way that Gyökeres does, and it's hurting us. And that's why some people are talking about Gyökeres. Jesus has got to start. Start what? Leave him on the bench. Let the guy listen. It's like Havertz. You don't need these players to rush them back. What's the rush? It's working as it is now. Just go with it. Simple things like that. Just go with it. Andrew says Gyökeres should do some individual technique training plus combination drills with offensive team. You know what it is? I think the relation into that is that, and I'm just going to sum him up in one sentence. I think he just lacks finesse. I just think he lacks finesse. And what I mean by that is it's just the sheer on the ball quality that your Havertz has, that your Thierry Henry has, just that on the ball quality. He lacks it. He's like a bull in a china shop. He's like a matador waving a red flag. He's just going to bulldoze you over. He knows no other way of playing. And that's conducive in his playing style. And we're just not going to have that, Andrew. We're just not going to have that player who's going to have that finesse around the box. He can pass the ball. He was doing it really well at Sporting. And before he got injured for Arsenal, he was playing some serious passing to the final third. I'd like to see that come back. Because if we get that Gyökeres back, then you get someone who's adding to the creativity alongside of Trossard, Odegaard, and Saka, and you've just got this three-headed monster circling around where players are just, the movement and the passing and the creativity is just getting so much better. That's what I want to see him do in his game. But if the goals come, they come. If they don't, they don't. What's important, guys, right now is that we keep winning. That I don't really care about any of the individual stuff. Yeah. For me, like, it's the team right now. Andrew says, remember Southampton a few years back, some principals getting in players who were sold at a premium. This is De Bruyne leaving was a surprise. Yeah, listen, Gundogan, De Bruyne, they've lost some big time. David Silva, come on. I've just named 3 guys who should be Hall of Fame players. They're Hall of Fame Premier League players. If you had the NFL in Canton, Ohio, have the Hall of Fame where players are on a bust. We don't have that over here. I know we've kind of tried to copy it, but it ain't really working. But if you had that, Gundogan, all them players like Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva, they would be in the Hall of Fame in the Premier League. So losing those guys, you can't really, let's not talk about Yaya Toure because he'd been gone a long time ago. I'm just talking about in the last sort of 3 years, the players that they've been missing. It's hard to replace that. And credit to Gonzalez and credit to some of the new players they've got now, because I think they've assimilated very quickly into the Premier League for Man City. But I also think that they've peaked a bit early. That little run they did before they dropped these 2 points, they were struggling, like Leeds, a couple of games there where they were lucky to get the 3 points. It weren't easy. By any means was it not easy. But that's one of the reasons why I said to you guys, they're going to struggle. And look, let's go to, this is Manchester City's away record against the top 9 this season. Yeah? Look at that. That's their away, that's Man City's away record against the top 9 this season. Yeah? So it's they're going to struggle, but this is where they're really going to struggle, guys. These are Manchester City's away games this season. So Arsenal have played everyone away from home in the top 10 bar Manchester City. I know people say Spurs, but we don't count them. But they've just got to go to the Etihad. That's it. In the top 10. That's it. City have got to go to United, Tottenham, Anfield, Stamford Bridge. And don't think Bournemouth and Everton and Burnley are going to be easy either. They're not going to be easy games. West Ham, bun them. Leeds, that's going to be tough. You struggled against Leeds at the Etihad and barely scraped by. What do you think is going to happen when you go to Leeds? So, guys, look, this is why I'm saying that Arsenal have got a great chance to win the league. Will they win the league? I can't answer that. I made them favourites to win the league. But I made them favourites because I think they got the best team. I think their manager is incredible. I think their players are fantastic. I think they've got backups at every part of the... I mean, Man City right now, players are falling like wood. Pep said his players were knackered. Do you know what Arsenal did when their players were knackered against Bournemouth? They put on Saka, Jesus, and Trossard. That's what Arteta did when his players were knackered. Pep couldn't do a damn thing. So, look, guys, we've got levels and we're going to continue to see these levels from Arsenal. And what that means is, yeah, we're going to have a few games where we struggle. No problem with that. But City are going to continue to drop points. They just are. They just are, guys. And they've got as much a fuller schedule as we have, but they don't have the squad for it. They've got to play in the semi-final of the Carling Cup, Carabao Cup, like we do. We got Chelsea, yeah. They got to play 2 semi-finals as well. They don't have the squad for it. I'm not even sure whether they get through into the final, but if they do get into the final, we can take them. I ain't scared of City. Man came to the Emirates and parked the bus. So why am I going to be afraid of City? I'm not going to be scared of Man City. They're going to be scared of us. How do you think Liverpool feel, guys, coming into the Emirates? Look at Arsenal's record at the Emirates Stadium this season. How you think Liverpool's going to walk in there on Thursday evening? Andrew says Haaland does get injured. Yeah, I'm waiting for that, bro. Waiting for the day. When I saw the injury coming to that, I thought that was Haaland, and it wasn't. It was Gardeval. But it's coming. It's coming because they're not even resting him like that. He's not getting no rest. He's getting overplayed, and at some point he's going to brock. It's a bend but don't break system, and he's going to brock. Andrew says Jesus doesn't press. He folds up the. Look, man. I am 100% behind this team winning the title. I just don't see any other way. But and that's not because of what we're doing. It's not. It's because I don't see anyone being good enough to beat us. That's it. So I know you lot might talk about Arsenal or choking or bottling or whatever. You talk about Arsenal as much as you like. I'm taking Arsenal and I'm parking it. Park Arsenal to the side. And I think it was Nightcap 4 or 5, where I said, who can test us? It wasn't about us. I said, look, forget Arsenal. Let's talk about if the other teams are good enough to actually win the title. I don't think they are. No disrespect. I don't think Manchester City are good enough to win the league title. I just don't. That's my opinion. Chelsea, Villa, no. I don't. Cam says, agreed. We have been patient and not overcommitted because they still have quality to chin us on the counter. Would be a good game for Eza to play. I'm not going to go too much into the Eza thing at the moment now because I felt he was in the doghouse because of what happened to Villa. And he knew he messed up. Just go and look at the goal, see his reaction. He knew he messed up. He had his hands down like that. Oh, Lord, what have I done? Because the manager has drilled into you what you should be doing. Everybody should know their job. And Arsenal defend as a team. We love defending. That's our identity. And so for him to make a mistake like that, when you go into games, the manager's got to know that you got his back. The manager's got to know that you're not going to go by the wayside with the instructions I've given you. And so Eza didn't do that. So maybe he's getting punished for that. He'll be back. He's going to get games. There's still a lot of games to play. But the other thing about Arteta did raise a point because I went back and looked at the data with Crystal Palace, and he was playing a lot. So with the Arsenal games, it seems like his minutes were overflowing. I know some people might say that's impossible. No, it's actually true. I checked the data on his minutes. You only have to go to who scored to see that. So I think it's a mix of different things. I think it's a factor of different things. But regardless of what happens, you are going to see Ezra again. You are, yeah. Especially playing away at Tottenham, especially in the Carabao Cup semi-final against Chelsea. I think you're going to see him there. Andrew says would ensure pace up front against Liverpool. Yeah, guys, we got so much. Guys, I just said against Bournemouth, we put on Trossard, Jesus, and Saka in the 70th minute, and we still had Wanyeri and Ezra on the bench, and Havertz didn't even turn up. I mean, come on, guys, you're just rubbing your rivals' face in it now, aren't you? You just the fact that Man City only had Doku as an option. And we had 5 players we could have played, and another one in Havertz who we just said, no, you don't have to kit up tonight, bro. Just take it easy and sit down on the bench. So you had 6 players that you could play around with, and City's got 1. What does that tell you? Guys, this is just ridiculous. Andrew's saying squad now has depth and variation. Don't it, though? Don't you love it? But listen, guys, that's me, and thanks for joining me tonight. Really want to have a good look at where the situation was. And again, putting a focus a little bit away from Arsenal and kind of onto our rivals. Because Arsenal winning the league, guys, is as much about what our rivals is doing as well as what we're doing. It's not just about what we're doing. Let's not make that mistake and put it all on our shoulders. Yeah, we got to do our part. But at the same time, the other teams have got to do their part. And I don't think they're good enough. And I said that months ago. I said that, I think it was the first week in November when I did Nightcap. I looked at the teams and I said, they don't scare me. We got nothing to worry about. And I'm standing by that. So guys, listen, big up to all of you lot. I'm going to be at the Emirates on Thursday. Tony and Gary will probably be with you to do a live stream. I got to check with them. So big up to everybody, man. Andrew, take care. Anticipates a 3-0 win. Yeah, you know what? I can 3-0, probably 3-1 maybe. But either way, Liverpool are not going to come and park the bus. And for us, we have to feast on that. Yeah, time for us to feast. Yeah, the team's not going to want to defend. We got to expose them. They're leaking goals, bro. Liverpool are leaking goals, man. And I'm hearing that they've got a few injuries as well. I'm hearing Ikatike. Look, at the end of the day, I expect them guys to play. I don't really care about injury. I don't care what they do, who they bring in. I'm saying, ask any Liverpool fan if they fear coming to the Emirates, and I guarantee you they're going to say yes. So that's all there is to it. Yeah, that man knees buckling. They're shaking coming to the Emirates. They're not looking forward to it. But we want to feast at the Emirates, bro, because that's what we do. We get hungry, the crowd get behind everybody, and we just attack teams and we blow them off the park. And I want to see us do that to Liverpool. And could you imagine how the pundits are going to react? Go to Sky Sports, Talk Sport, BBC, or whatever the next day, and let's just enjoy this. All right, guys, big up to all of you lot. Don't forget to hit that like button, guys, and I'll see you on Thursday. Peace out, guys.